After some years of service, we are back with the Rainbow Air Activator 1000. And it had a bit of an issue. I had loaned it out to a couple of folks, had used it a few times myself, and I broke it out to destink a car. And I don't use it super often, maybe every month or two. And there was no ozone being produced. So I said, oh crap. Well, after digging around just a little bit, I figured out the original transformer had gone bad, and this is the AC winding, this is the high voltage winding, and it has, I'm sure you can almost make it out by looking at the shadows, multiple sections of fine wire. It was putting out a tiny bit of voltage. One of these is open or more shorted. Oh well, and you think I'm going to go look for one of those? Whew, no telling which one of these guys would cost if I did find one. But these days, they don't spend the money on these. They do an electronic AC power supply, and I'm sure you've seen these, and it's upside down in here at the moment. It was very convenient to mount it on the base plate. See, normally it comes with these things mounted up on top of it. Well, it's turned around and face down. So I shopped and I shopped and I shopped, and I found out a lot of them only have one or two plates on top, and I couldn't for the life of me find them separately without the plates on the top. And I found that the biggest common one is about 85 watts, and you can figure it out. You can pick it out of the crowd by how long this heatsink is on the bottom. The lower powered one is on this heatsink's only about half that size. So I basically just cut the wiring out and wired this in. Now, one thing I did lose was the variable level here, and all that does is puts a resistance in series with the primary on the other transformer. I hardly ever use this thing. In fact, I don't think I've ever used this thing. I just had it turned all the way open and based my treatment on the timer down here, which is really the way to go, because you don't want to mess around with this. You want to get the job done and you want to move on. So this, of course, can't be throttled by changing the voltage. It is a high frequency switching power supply, high voltage, high frequency switching power supply. And I noticed on this one, you don't hear the 60 hertz crackle, which is just kind of strange and different. And maybe it's more efficient running at many kilohertz instead of just 60. I don't know. So it's wired straight in. I just left the pot here. I'm usually the only one that ever uses this thing, so it doesn't matter really. One problem I ran into when I fired this thing up to begin with was this upper thermal circuit breaker right there. This one is for the entire machine, and this one is just for the high voltage. After like 30 seconds or so, it would trip. Even less than that, really. So it tripped a couple of times, and I'm kind of panicking and going, oh my God, what's going on? And then like the second or maybe the third time it tripped, it just broke. It just quit. The little paddle on the back here was dangling out, and it wouldn't reset anymore. So I went on, the glorious FreeBay, and I got a couple of these in 1 amp because I noticed the original one, which I thought was laying here on the bench, but apparently not, was only a ½ amp. And a quick head calculation will tell you that's about 60 watts at the most. And I doubt the original one was pulling anywhere near that, maybe not even half that. Well, then it dawned on me, I remember that this power supply is advertised at 85 watts. And I just checked, and this power supply is pulling about 730-ish milliamp, which is right at its 85 watt rating. Say, hey, when Chinese specifications are right on the money always. And So that's why it tripped the half breaker, and apparently the breaker failed. So this 1 amp one that I put in here um, is you're just right in the good golden range there, you know, close but not too high. And so we're back in business. And I tell you what, I'm guessing the original setup may have been 30 or 40 watts. And oh my God, this thing might be 3 times that because it's sizzling pretty loud. And it has already just running it maybe just a few seconds at a time, a half a dozen times. Got the basement filled so full of ozone, I've got to get out of here for a little while and let till all the O's and the O3s turn back into O2s. But let me punch it on and you'll hear it. Mostly you hear the fan, but whew, Lord have mercy. I'm going to give it a long-term run, just basically sitting outdoors for a little while, 15, 20 minutes before I put it in the vehicle I want to clean, just to make sure everything is going to be cool. You know, I don't want to have any tragic accidents. So I thought I'd do a follow-up on this in case anybody else ran into one of these that they wanted to rehab, and I had already put from the previous video, which I'll put up here somewhere, um, cleaned it up and fixed a few problems it had and replaced the plates because the plates were eat up. These things have to be replaced periodically. So this thing has no time on these new plates. I mean, for the way I use it, it'll last forever. It's not like I use it every day like a lot of commercial guys would. And I think maybe this particular power supply was like $35 with the plates on it over there, which I'll never use. I'll just throw them away. The only tedious thing I had to do is splice together this silicone wire with some heat shrink, like triple layer of heat shrink to insulate it. And then it's really tricky. It's so tight down in there at the red, not this red, but that red, to get it laying where it needs to and get this shield back down on it. It's really tricky. But it works. It was a cheap fix, and I'm back in business. We'll see you guys next time, some of my junk breaks.